Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Wednesday night. This is our reading through the Tanak night, the 19th of February 2025. I'll be reading out of the Book of Jubilees. Okay, and um, you can go to our YouTube channel, the Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get to meet. Okay, and these videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. Um, And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. Okay. Hours that we're live is Tuesday and Wednesday night, 7 to 9 Central Time. Um, Friday nights we have our main advanced Bible study. That's from 7 to 9 Central Time. Then we have two Shabbat classes, one in the morning, 10 to 12 a.m. Central Time. Then we close the Shabbat out in the evening with a little dialogue, and that's at 5 in the evening on Saturday evenings, every Saturday evening. Then we have a Sunday advanced Bible study at 5 in the evening. 5 in the evening on Sundays. Made a mistake on a Saturday evening. To close the Shabbat out is 6 to 7, not 5 to 7. Excuse me for that. Okay. And for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Lord and our Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts. Okay, shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our reading through the Tanakh. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, psalms, current events, need to know information. Then we'll open it up for anybody that have any questions or comments or anything they want to talk about. Then we'll go into our discussion, which is we reading out of the Book of Jubilees, okay, and breaking that down. And we'll close out by picking a scripture out of the Tanakh and reading it and breaking it down, making it make sense. Okay, so with that being said, this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we come before thee, thanking you for your mercy and your great power. We appreciate you, O Lord, for your patience and your guidance in these last days. And, O Lord, we thank you for awakening us to this great understanding of your word. O Lord, we see your mighty hand in the world's affairs, and how you are constructing the people's deliverance. And we trust and rely upon thee. And for this cause, we honor and respect you greatly. Turn not thy face from us, but allow us in our searching of you to find you, O Lord, and to dwell with you. Peace be unto you. Okay. I'll read the Psalms right quick. Okay, I'll read Psalms. It's the voice of the Lord in the storm. Psalm of David. Give unto the Lord, O ye mighty, give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. Worship the Lord in the beauty of his holiness. The voice of the Lord is upon the waters. Glory, thunder. The Lord is upon many waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. The voice of the Lord breaketh the cedars. Yea, the Lord breaketh the cedars of Lebanon, making them also to skip like a calf. Lebanon and Syrian like a young unicorn. The voice of the Lord divideth the flames of fire. The voice of the Lord shaketh the wilderness. The Lord shaketh the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord maketh the hinds of calves. The discovery discovered the forest, and in his temple doeth everyone speak of his glory. The Lord sitteth upon the flood, yea, the Lord sitteth king forever. The Lord will give strength unto his people. The Lord will bless his people with peace. Okay, so While I was reading this here, it's two verses that came to mind to show you who the Lord is, who David is worshiping. It says in verse 3, Psalm 29:3, the voice of the Lord is upon the waters. The God of glory thundered. The Lord is upon many waters. And in verse 10, the Lord sitteth upon the flood. Yea, the Lord sitteth king forever. When we go back to Genesis chapter 1, first two verses tells us who God is that we're dealing with. It says, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. We see this as Yahweh. But the God of David talking about in Psalms 29, it says, and the earth was without form and void, darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God, the angel of God, moved upon the face of the waters. So we see right here who it is that's moving on the waters. Right? And just for GP, this is a flood right here. This is the first flood. Second flood in the ark, but this is the flood right here when Satan came. What it is that Satan did in the beginning, it caused the Creator to flood the whole earth. So when we come back to Noah's time, he says that he's not going to do it again because of the first time and the second time, he's not going to do it anymore. He gave Noah a rainbow to honor the covenant that he got with him for the rain, for not flooding the earth anymore with the water. Okay. Any comments? Okay. Everybody good? Here we go. Current events.
So Bank of America is now warning the American people of immediate. And I want to explain.
So the reason why I'm playing this is you got to understand. I was kind of talking about it a little bit yesterday and over the weekend, but it says Esau, Jacob I love, Esau I hated, and I was breaking it down how Jacob, the Most High, loved judgment, and he hates robbery. So Jacob, he chose Jacob, and Jacob is a co-partner with him in judging the earth. They didn't keep their side of the deal. That's why we got kicked out. But they co-partners with the Lord in judgment. So he loved judgment. That's why he loved Jacob. And Esau is a robber. He goes around and stealing things and claiming them for his own. So he says he hates Esau because Esau is a robber and he hates robbery. So I kind of talked about that yesterday a little bit, I think. So anyway, if you can look, you go back to 2007, right before the big fall in 2008. Bank of America, the one came out, started all the drama, and we see it again right here. So who controlling Bank of America? Esau, the international bankers, the Rothschilds, and all them. So it's not a coincidence that every time something go down, Bank of America involved in it. Okay. Here we go.
How much this is going to impact millions and millions of Americans and what this is coming from. Again, what is happening at this time is only accelerating. And according to experts, it will get far worse before it gets better. I'm going to break all this down in just a moment, explain what is going on and how this is likely going to impact you in the very near future. But before I do, all I ask is one thing. Takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So here in the United States, there's a lot of stuff going on, especially that Donald Trump has been in office for almost 1 month. In just a couple of days, it will be 1 month that Donald Trump has been president. And over those many days, those 4 weeks, well, there's been a lot of changes, some of which have been very good, other changes that are actually causing many people to wonder if things are going to get better or worse temporarily. Look at this. This was just announced today. President Trump has now floated a 25% tariff on U.S. auto, drug, and chip imports. Says new duties would widen trade war and hit key consumer products. Trump has proposed tariffs, duties on metals. Now, here's what you need to understand. Bank of America, they have a strategist that says inflation is going to force President Trump to play his hand on tariffs. What does this mean? Well, here's what I can tell you. Right now, there's a lot of concern that tariffs are going to cause additional inflation. So if Donald Trump comes out and he imposes tariffs on every single country at 25% for cars, for drug manufacturers, for chip imports, for fuel, and for food, and for everything in between, if he does that all at once, that right there is going to cause prices to skyrocket. They will go up immediately, and this will create immediate damage to millions and millions of households. Not only that, it's going to impact the lowest income households first, then it will go after the middle income, and then the higher income earners. That's what it's going to do. Now, here's what we are seeing already. Certain industries are being hit as we speak. For instance, let me just give you an idea here. Because of tariffs on things like automotive parts, we're already seeing places like mechanic shops, okay, car dealerships. They're already seeing prices are rising, but because of those things, less people are coming in to fix their cars. If less people come in, but yet these mechanics are charging higher prices, not because they want to get paid more, they're trying to keep the same profitability. The problem is the products coming in are costing more, so that raises their prices. Well, less consumers are coming in to get their cars fixed, meaning there's more damaged vehicles out there driving than ever before. But here's the crazy part. We are now starting to see those mechanic shops, those car dealerships, they're starting to lay off employees. And why? Why would they do this when things are going well and the economy is supposed to be booming? Well, the reason why they're laying off employees is because they see the writing on the wall. They realize what's happening in the next 2 to 6 months. We're going to see this. Now, I want to read you some things, though. Okay, look at this article right here. It says President Donald Trump said he would likely impose tariffs on automobile, semiconductor, and pharmaceutical imports of around 25%, with the announcement coming as soon as April 1st. Okay. Says the new duties, if implemented, would widen the president's trade war. Trump previously announced 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum that are set to take effect in March. I believe it's March 12th. But Tuesday's comments are his most detailed yet in specifying other sectors that would be hit with fresh barriers.
Okay.
Is warning Americans.
Any comments on that? Like I said, keep an eye on Bank of America. They're always a catalyst. Okay. Got another one right here. Okay. Okay.
We're seeing something globally we've never seen before, and it is the best single indicator of a recession. The last time we saw anything like this was in 2007, just ahead of the 2008 financial catastrophe. So the stock market's saying it's all good, Goldilocks, soft landing, Fed's going to get the memo, they're going to cut rates, the pivot, and buy stocks. The bond market is saying no. This is bad, and it's going to get worse, and it's actually too late for the Fed to do anything about it. But what happens is, as you get closer to the actual thing you're worried about, the inversion gets nearer and nearer. Now it is literally a month away or less. So that's like a a big red siren, flashing light, whatever you want to call it. Interest rates are a lagging indicator. Everyone's like, well, how could interest rates going up if we're in a recession? The answer is, as you get closer to recession, who figures it out first? Well, the Fed figures it out last. They're usually the last to know. Wall Street is second last to know. The people who figure it out first are actual business people, entrepreneurs, restaurant owners, dry cleaners, taxi drivers, or even medium-sized businesses. They see it. If you're in the trucking business, it's real time. Inventories are sky high and new orders have been slashed. You're not moving anything by truck. A lot of business people are living in the real world in real time. They know what's happening now, and the stock market tends to figure it out later. But as far as banking and credit is concerned, what happens is, if you're a business person and you see business heading down, fewer customers, whatever, you go out and borrow all you can. Be like, hey, it's a really bad recession coming. If I got lines of credit, I'm going to use them up now. I don't want my bank changing the terms. I don't want material adverse adverse change clauses kicking in. Instead, I'm going to borrow everything I can. And that creates a demand for funds, and interest rates go up. And then the recession hits, and the bankers go, what's going on? Credit losses start going up. And then they just turn off the spigot and they raise standards, they stop doing loans. And then interest rates will start to come down. But interest rates peak after the recession has already begun. So stock market's telling us Goldilocks, bond market's telling us, here comes, Hurricane Mitch or whatever. And then there's what I call the reality. What I see is a kind of a hybrid. The Fed's doing what they're doing, right or wrong. Okay, they're doing what they're doing. The market has their own interpretation. I agree with the market, certainly the bond market, that the Fed is probably over tightened. They keep going for reasons I explained. The Phillips curve, which is junk science, but the Phillips curve, for those who are not familiar, says there's an inverse relationship between unemployment and inflation. So if unemployment is high, inflation is low. And if unemployment comes down, inflation goes up. And so if you want to get inflation down, you should expect to bring unemployment up. That's what the Fed believes. What nonsense is not true. It's junk. But the Fed believes it. I think it matters what the Fed thinks. So you got to put yourself in their minds to figure it out. So as far as they're concerned, those kind of unemployment numbers, lowest since the 1960s, that's inflationary. They got to get those numbers up. Now, here's what the Fed is missing, or maybe everybody's missing. When you hear these layoff announcements, people are like, well, if they're laying off, why isn't the unemployment rate going up? Unemployment is a lagging indicator. When you're an employer, entrepreneur, and you're in any kind of distress, not as many customers walking in the door, you'll do everything you can to avoid laying people off. You'll, be late on the rent. You'll turn down the lights. Find a cheaper laundry, whatever it takes. And then by the time you get around to firing people, you run out of options. Like, I've done everything I can. Now my business is in jeopardy. I have to fire some people. So and then combine that with what I just said about severance and, rolling terminations, etc. It's a lagging indicator. We know.
So notice what he said about a month when he first started talking. He said that the event is coming up on us fast in about a month. Okay. Anybody got any comments on that?
I thought it was interesting, Shalom. I thought it was interesting that he said that when a company starts realizing that they need to start laying off employees, it's already too late. Look at what the government's doing.
Exactly. Right. But that's something. So that's a big sign for everybody that's paying attention. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, shalom, brother Lynn. Okay, Bank of America. I hear you saying they're the catalyst, but if you're dealing with them, what you shut your account down and do business somewhere else?
Well, you can continue to deal with them, but I wouldn't have all my assets tied to them. I mean, you know what I mean? downsize what you're doing with them. If you got your money invested in there, I would take it out and just deal with them. You know what I'm saying? Where if you was dealing with them at 80%, I'd go down to 20 and just do your transactions and all that. But there ain't nothing good about Bank of America. Believe me. I'm eating my
Shalom.
okay.
By the businesses that like Walmart and Staples, well, all these other big companies closing down their stores, where they're trying to get ahead of the game because they knew something was going to be coming up, because they closed out so many stores now. I think they only have one dealer that I've seen, and they're closing the malls down and making them strip. Like convenience. I cannot remember how you say, you know, strip malls where
Right,
it's all in a line and everything. And they're placing um, apartment buildings within these malls that they're closing down. They're putting apartment buildings close, but they by saying they're all those stores and they're combining stores together. You'll see a Family Dollar in a dollar store, and then you'll see General Dollar in and a dollar store connected together.
right,
There's so many things. So, and that was last year and year before last, and I think that now everything's coming to a head. And just like you said, when they see businesses not making as much profit, they're going to start laying off. Um, they were doing that by closing all these stores prior to this big, to what's going on right now.
right. This been going on a long time. Matter of fact, they dragging it on. It's like I said, it's controlled demo job. So they know what's getting ready to happen, and then they like I was just saying, if you understand what's up with Bank of America, then you start limiting your actions and your dealings with them. So that's what they doing. They know what's getting ready to happen, so they downsizing. And by them downsizing, they are taking that money that they getting that's coming in from downsizing and stashing it off because they know what's getting ready to happen. And all those are indicators. If you're paying attention, you can see what they're doing. They're not just they greedy dogs. So why would they start downsizing? It's got to be something going on because they all about all the money they can get. So those are signs. Okay. And okay, check this out. Then we'll do some Q&A.
Just a few hours ago, the president of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traore, received the representative of Pope Francis and also the Secretary of State of the Holy See, Cardinal Pietro Parolin, into the palace, Burkina Faso. But while this may be exciting for some, many are wondering in thought, could this be another setup from the West in order to penetrate into the land through the church bodies like Pope John Francis and his elites? What exactly does Pietro Parolin, Pope Francis, or even the church, as the case may be, want from Ibrahim Traore? Well, here is a reminder to support our channel with a super thanks, super sticker, and also join our team of members to get our exclusive videos from our channel. And don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get into the details. Just a few hours ago, the representative of the Catholic leader, Pope Francis, His Eminence Cardinal Pietro Parolin, stepped into the land of the promise and decided to pay a visit to the president. The president of Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traore, is admired for his vision and leadership that has guided the country of honest men through its current situation over the past 2 years since taking office. In this situation, Burkinabe people now hold hope for a better future and celebrate the progress made. This is the result of the determination and firm commitment of the head of state, supported by his collaborators. Among his internal and external admirers in Burkina Faso is the Secretary of State of the Holy See, Cardinal Pietro Parolin, who is in the country for the celebration of the 125th anniversary of the Catholic Church's evangelization in this land of honest men. He expressed his appreciation for the efforts of the head of state and his government following his meeting at the presidential palace. In his words, he said, bringing together military action on one side and development actions on the other is important so that people can enjoy their fundamental rights to food, education, health, and everything that makes life possible and dignified, affirmed the envoy of Pope Francis, Cardinal Pietro Parolin. Indeed, the president of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traore, is known for his dynamism and vision across key sectors. Driven by a patriotic spirit and a shared vision, he has successfully combined the fight to regain the full national territory with actions aimed at socio-economic development. Today, concrete actions are being implemented in strategic sectors to achieve the set objectives, benefiting the population. Renewed, solid, and ongoing support is crucial for the construction of the Burkina Faso that both the authorities and citizens. And this is truly what the envoy of Pope Francis are here to commend, nothing more, nothing less. But while the intention of this visit may seem hidden or in doubt, we can all trust that Captain Ibrahim Traore is a man that will stop at nothing towards fighting imperialism and every form of neo-colonialism in the land. Not even the Pope can stop him. But for now, we keep our eyes wide open and see what plays out. And until next time, stay out of trouble.
Okay, so what do you think about that? Pope took a visit to Burkina Faso all of a sudden.
Shalom. I say don't trust it. I
Right.
mean, all of a sudden, everybody eyes uh on Torre,
Want
and
to
they
see?
want to, act like they supporting him with the Catholic, celebrating the Catholic Church. They didn't have to come there to do that. I
Exactly.
don't trust nothing they do.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I said the same thing. Anybody else got any comments on that?
Shalom, I'm with you guys. There's always some underlying thing that's going on, and I don't see this as favorable to him.
Okay. So
The other thing,
go ahead.
Shalom, I'm sorry. I think that one of the tactics they've used is they're constantly trying to figure out what is his weakness is.
Right. Exactly.
Was it the people around him? Is it women? Is it money? Is it religion? What is his kink, if you will, in order to try to use that to bring him down? That's what they're looking for.
Exactly. Definitely. So where they can get somebody in there, slide somebody in there to bring down his demise. Okay. With that being said, we're gonna open it up for some questions. Anybody have any questions or comments or any dialogue about anything they came across? Any question?
Shalom. I came across some videos during the week regarding the Israelite Christians on the march. It was very disheartening and discouraging to see so many following this dogma about Christ and the Israelites being together. As I said before, I was talking to one of my people who is part of that organization, or she trying to learn more about them. When I asked her, I said, how do they explain Mary and Jesus, the birth of Jesus? She said, oh, they're saying that, you know, they redefined the definition of what a virgin birth is. And
Exactly.
I just, I had already knew that, and I was just wanted to hear her say it because she's the only person I know that's directly involved. It's just so disheartening to see so many. It just seems like somebody is putting them out there and leading them astray, and they following suit, blindly.
Right, right. It's the if you go back to the FBI, why it was created, the Secret Service and all that. It's they everything is about monitoring us. So they come out, and when they see that we start going in the right direction, we start unifying, or some dynamic Israelite show up on the scene. Their job is to cut him off, kill him like they've been doing, and then put the people in disarray. So, and then they bring Negroes that's willing to take the bait and support them. And here they go. Like I said, it's a you can see it getting larger and larger. More and more people waking up. More and more people tuning in and finding out that what the deal is with the New Testament. So here they come with these Negroes, these groups, you know, talking about JC, and then they supporting them. Like I said, they come out all of a sudden. Elon Musk said Jesus is black. He's showing he coming out of some archive he got. Putin coming out of his archive with the Pope saying that, all of them saying Jesus is black because the truth of who he is coming out. So they're saying they rather say black than to lose all that authority what they created with him. People find out, the creator wake them up. They ain't no going back once you see who he is. So they trying to cut it off before it mature, like what's happening with Burkina Faso. That's what we're looking at, and they've been doing this for years.
Shalom. That brings me into the mind of whoever, and I guess everyone have saw the Wizard of Oz, and at almost at the very end, where they pulled the curtain back and saw the man, and he was saying, don't look at the man behind the curtain. He's just there. So the wake is coming about, and that's the man behind the curtain who's still trying to keep things going, but we know what is really happening now, and it's just some, you know, to me, a vision of what was going on. We're being brought to the truth, and there's still people trying to feed the masses Christian ways, but it's not working on the true Israelites, the ones that the Lord says He wants in their hearing. Like you said, it's for those who hear and see, those who seek that will find. If that sounds um, somewhat true.
Well, right, that makes sense. That makes sense. Anybody else got any comments on that? Okay. Like I said, anybody have any comments or questions or anything they want to shine the light on before we move forward? Anything anybody want to bring up? Okay, we'll play this here and then we'll go into our.
Shalom. Well, Brother Leonard, just watching this news with this man with Putin.
Yeah, something going on with your mic. Okay. Get this. Yeah.
You hear me,
Let's
Brother
see.
Leonard?
Now, yeah, you're going in and out.
I apologize. I don't know what's going on. I was just talking about Putin with this Trump, with that mess going on over there.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
They were feared, revered, and thought to be wiped out by a great flood. But what if I told you that the Nephilim mentioned in the Bible never appeared? What if they're still among us today, lurking in the shadows? Welcome to God's Word Unmasked.
Yeah, so I played part 3 last night, I think it was, and they was referred to parts 1 and 2. So it's part 1.
We peel back the layers of biblical history to reveal hidden truths and fascinating stories. If you're new here, consider subscribing. And if you're returning, welcome back to another journey into the mysteries of the Bible. Today, we are going to prove that the Nephilim giants are still alive among us. For centuries, these colossal beings have been thought to exist only in ancient texts and folklore. But what if I told you there's mounting evidence suggesting otherwise? From remote islands to the hidden caves of ancient civilizations, there are signs, fragments of truth, that the Nephilim might still walk the earth. In today's video, we'll explore mysterious sightings, ancient artifacts, and the chilling stories passed down through generations. We'll examine how these giants, who once roamed freely, may still inhabit our world, waiting to be discovered. But be warned, the truth is stranger than fiction. Let's dive into the first piece of evidence that suggests the Nephilim giants are still alive. Have you ever heard of the Solomon Islands? Well, to truly understand the significance of the Solomon Islands and their connection to the giants, we need to delve into the story of King Solomon, a figure renowned for his wisdom, wealth, and influence. Solomon was the son of King David and Bathsheba, and he ruled over Israel during its golden age, around the 10th century BCE. The Bible tells us that Solomon was chosen by God to build the first temple in Jerusalem, a magnificent structure that would become the spiritual center of Israel. Solomon's wisdom and wealth were legendary. In 1 Kings chapter 3, God grants Solomon unparalleled wisdom, saying,
I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be.
Solomon's reign was marked by peace and prosperity, and he became famous for his judgments, such as the well-known story of the 2 women who claimed to be the mother of the same child. But it wasn't just his wisdom that made Solomon famous. 1 Kings chapter 10 tells us,
King Solomon was greater in riches and wisdom than all the other kings of the earth. The whole world sought an audience with Solomon to hear the wisdom God had put in his heart.
His wealth was so vast that it drew the attention of distant lands. The Queen of Sheba, for example, traveled from the ends of the earth to test Solomon with hard questions, and was astounded by his wisdom and the riches of his kingdom. It's believed that Solomon sent his ships far and wide to gather the riches of the world, according to 1 Kings chapter 9, which states,
King Solomon also built ships at Ezion-Geber, which is near Elath in Edom on the shore of the Red Sea. Hiram sent his men, sailors who knew the sea, to serve in the fleet with Solomon's men. They sailed to Ophir and brought back 400 talents of gold, which they delivered to King Solomon.
Ophir was known as a region rich in gold, and it's speculated that Solomon's ships might have traveled as far as Southeast Asia, Africa, and even the Pacific Islands in search of wealth. Fast forward to the 16th century, when European explorers began navigating the uncharted waters of the Pacific. One such explorer was Alvaro de Mendana, a Spanish navigator who, in 1568, embarked on an expedition to find the legendary lands of gold mentioned in the Bible. Following tales of vast wealth and drawing on biblical references, Mendana believed he had discovered the source of King Solomon's gold when he arrived at the islands in the South Pacific. Mendana named these islands Islas de Salomon, or the Solomon Islands, in honor of the biblical king, convinced that these were the lands from which Solomon had obtained his vast riches. Although the gold Mendana sought was never found in abundance during his lifetime. The name stuck, and the islands have been known as the Solomon Islands ever since. The Solomon Islands are now known as a remote and mysterious archipelago in the South Pacific, famous for their breathtaking landscapes and rich cultural heritage. But beyond the beauty lies a darker, more enigmatic side, a land steeped in legends of giants. For centuries, the native inhabitants of these islands have passed down tales of colossal beings, known as the Nephilim, who once roamed their lands. These weren't just stories to them. They were historical accounts of encounters with creatures of unimaginable size and power. This island is where most people believe the Nephilim giants live. Now, you might be wondering, wasn't the flood supposed to get rid of these giants? Let's dive into what the Bible and the Book of Enoch have to say about the flood and the persistence of the Nephilim afterward. The Great Flood, as in Genesis, was meant to cleanse the earth of its wickedness, including the giants that roamed it. Genesis chapter 6 states,
And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die.
This flood was a divine judgment, meant to wipe out not just humanity's sins, but the corrupted bloodlines that included the Nephilim. However, despite this catastrophic event, the Bible makes a curious note in Genesis chapter 6 saying,
There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown.
This verse explicitly states that the Nephilim existed both before and after the flood. The book of Enoch offers further insight into how these giants could have persisted. It tells of fallen angels who taught humanity forbidden knowledge and fathered the Nephilim with human women. When the flood came, the physical bodies of these giants may have perished, but their spirits were said to have lingered on, continuing to influence the world. But the Bible provides more proof of their post-flood existence. We see this in the accounts of Goliath, the giant defeated by David, and King Og of Bashan. Goliath, described in Samuel chapter 17, was 6 cubits and a span, roughly 9.5 feet tall. King Og, mentioned in Deuteronomy 3:11, had a bedstead made of iron that was 9 cubits in length, over 13 feet long, emphasizing his enormous size. These giants, living in different regions, were descendants of the Nephilim, suggesting that their lineage somehow survived the flood. Appearance-wise, the Nephilim were described as being of immense stature and strength, often towering over regular humans. They were not just physically imposing, but also played significant roles in the conflicts and stories of ancient Israel. Now, let's talk about. For those who may not know, Guadalcanal was the largest island in the Solomon chain, where locals claim these giants still reside. Pay close attention, guys, because Guadalcanal, the largest island in the Solomon chain, is at the heart of these legends. Here, the locals speak of giants with long dark hair, fiery red eyes, and immense strength, beings who lived in complex cave systems beneath the island. These giants were said to be so large that they could traverse the island underground without ever being seen by the surface dwellers. But what makes these tales so compelling is the sheer consistency and detail in the descriptions. Pause. Do you want to read the Book of Giants? Or the Book of Adam and Eve? Maybe even the early life of Jesus? Lucky for you, we have prepared a PDF file filled with thousands of apocryphas and helpful resources. Massive jawbones and gigantic footprints etched into the rock. You might be thinking now, okay, God's word unmasked. Where is the evidence? We need evidence. Well, I'm glad you asked. After all, legends and myths are powerful, but to truly understand whether giants like the Nephilim ever existed, we need to turn to something more tangible, evidence. Over the years, archaeologists and anthropologists have uncovered a variety of artifacts, bones, and tools that suggest the existence of beings far larger than the average human. Let's dive into some of the most compelling discoveries that point to the reality of these ancient giants. In the Solomon Islands, as well as other parts of the world, there have been numerous reports of the discovery of gigantic skeletal remains. One of the most famous accounts comes from Lovelock Cave in Nevada, where archaeologists unearthed bones that were much larger than those of a typical human. These remains, which included a jawbone that could fit over a modern human's face, were reportedly linked to the Sitaka, the red-haired giants of Paiute legend. In Africa, there have been discoveries of enormous footprints fossilized in rock, some of which measure up to 4 feet in length. These footprints, found in places like South Africa's Impuluzi region, have sparked debates among scientists and researchers. Some argue that these could be evidence of an ancient race of giants, while others believe they could be natural formations or distortions caused by erosion. However, the sheer size and distinct human-like shape of these footprints make it difficult to dismiss them entirely. Another fascinating piece of evidence comes from the discovery of oversized tools and weapons, some weighing hundreds of pounds, far too heavy for an average human to wield. These artifacts, found in various locations, including the Middle East and South America, suggest that they were made by beings of extraordinary strength and size. For instance, in the region of Basra, Iraq, a giant sword was unearthed, measuring nearly 12 feet in length and weighing over 100 pounds. Such a weapon would be impossible for a regular human to use effectively, further indicating the presence of giants. But it's not just physical artifacts that provide evidence. Ancient texts, like the Ethiopian Bible and the Book of Enoch, describe giants in great detail. These texts not only speak of their immense size, but also of their influence on early human civilizations. The Nephilim, as described in these writings, were not just tall, they were described as mighty men of old, men of renown. Their presence had a profound impact on the societies of their time, shaping myths, legends, and even the architecture of ancient cities. Was found in biblical texts like Revelation. These prophecies speak of the return of giants or other beings in the end times.
Okay. Any comments on that? That was proof that the Nephilim giants are still alive. That was part of a 3-part series. I think the name of the channel is God's Word Unmasked. Any comments on that? What do you think?
Shalom. I think it's very interesting. And another fact about the Solomon Islands is that it's believed to have been an island that was untouched by Europeans until, they started coming around more often. But when you would go there, they would find people that looked like us, had blonde hair, naturally blue eyes, red hair, but they had dark complexion skin. So they were trying to say that earlier explorers had been there, but now, with this story, it's another reason to believe that this was sort of like a place that was untouched by modern man, and that it's a possibility that what she's saying, there's some validity to it. If it was kind of off by itself, where nobody really were engaging or interacting with it, but the people that live there, they know. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that's like the West Coast of Africa. Back then, nobody dwelt in that part of Africa because Africa's so huge. So when today these Edomites and everybody else is saying that when the 10 tribes left from Assyria, they came here to America. But it's saying that it says the way it's worded is when they left Assyria, they didn't want to go back to America. I mean back to Israel. They wanted to go to a place where no man dwelled. And they figured they can keep the laws and Most High statutes there. So they went there to the west coast of Africa. That was the land where no man dwelled. Okay, and the reason being was the Sahara Desert and all those geographical borders that were stopping people from actually dwelling there. And then eventually, like I said, they went up to the top by the Mediterranean, Then eventually they start trickling down through the Sahara Desert, following those old trails from those nomads that was, dealing with the Sahara. They ended up coming down through there, and then eventually they settled on the West Coast, where they eventually came and got us from. Prophecy caught up with us. Anybody got any comments, questions on anything else, or comments on the movie or the video? Okay. So, like I said, I was gonna read out of Jubilees, right? I thought it was kind of interesting. So, uh, some of the stuff came up before, but I'm gonna try to connect some dots with it. So this is chapter 10 out of Jubilees, and it's the genealogy of and the descendants of Shem. Then Noah and his sons divided the earth, right? So it says in the 29th Jubilee, in the first week, in the beginning thereof, Arphaxad took to him a wife, and her name was, I can't say her name, Rasha, the daughter of Susan, the daughter of Elam, and she bore him a son in the third year in this week, and he called his name Canaan. I talked about this, right? This the Canaan that went to China and found those writings for those giants, from the fallen angels, from before the flood after the water receded. But anyway, it says, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, he called his name Canaan, and the son grew, and his father taught. Okay, his father taught him writings, and he went to seek for himself a place where he might seize for himself a city. So back then, they would, like what Cain did. He left from with Adam now. He went to the land of Nod, and then there he built a city. So that was a big thing back then. Was the man would want to build a city and name the name after himself or one of his sons. So this is what he wanted to do. Then it says he found a writing which of former generations, just before the flood, had carved on the rock, and he read what was thereon, and he transcribed it, and he sinned owing to it, for it contained the teachings of the watchers, in accordance with which they used to observe the omens of the sun and the moon and the stars and all signs of the heavens. And he wrote it down and said nothing regarding it, and he was afraid to speak to Noah about it, lest he should be angry with him on account of it. So what I did was, I was like, okay, so this out of Adam's lineage, and this means so. I went back to Genesis chapter 10, right? I was looking at that, and it says right here, in Genesis chapter 10, and I noticed that it says chapter 10, verse 10, the descendants of Shem, right? And then it said, these are the generations of Shem, right? Not Noah. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old, and he begot Arphaxad. This is the guy that just talked about. So this is my point right here. Shem was 100 years old. Arphaxad, 2 years after the flood. So that's right after the flood. 2 years after the flood, right? So that's when this happened. This guy found those writings. Say, and Shem lived after he begot Arphaxad 500 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 530 years, and he begot Shelah. And Arphaxad lived after he begot Shelah 403 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And Shelah lived 30 years, begot Eber. And Shelah lived after he begot Eber 403 years, and he begot sons and daughters, right? And Eber lived 430 years, begot Peleg. And Eber lived after he begot Peleg 430 years, and he begot sons and daughters. So notice, ain't no Canaan. They didn't roll him out the story. So it tells you that in Jubilees that he had Arphaxad. Then Arphaxad had Canaan. but he ain't nowhere mentioned here. So anyway, then you keep going, verse 18. Peleg lived 30 years and he begot Reu. And Peleg lived after he begot Reu 209 years and he begot sons and daughters. And Reu lived 230 years and he begot Serug. And Reu lived after he begot Serug 207 years and he begot sons and daughters. And Serug, here we go. This is where the drama come in at. I was looking at this. This is Genesis 10:22. Serug lived 30 years and he begot Nahor, right? And Serug lived after he begot Nahor 200 years and he begot sons and daughters. Now here you go. 24. Nahor lived 9 and 20 years and begot Terah. This is Abraham's daddy, right? And Nahor lived after he begot Terah 19 years and he begot sons and daughters. And then Terah lived 70 years and he begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Right? So this brings us to the time of Abraham, right? And then it says, this is not a long time after the flood. It says, now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Noah, and Haran begot Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land. They writing over this story too. We know the story in Jasher, right here. Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur the Chaldean. So I want to shine a light on this because it's shining light on something else. So it says right here in verse 28, Genesis chapter 11, verse 28, that Haran died before his father Terah, right? So we know what happened. Terah had lied about where Abraham was at when the star came across the sky. And the wise men saw it, and they told him that a man was born that day in the house of Terah that was going to destroy Israel. He was going to destroy Nimrod. So Nimrod sent and told Terah to bring that boy, which was Abraham, to him. He didn't. He got another newborn from one of his handmaidens or servants and brought it to him, and he killed him. And then later on, he found out that he didn't. So he ended up putting Haran and Abraham in the fiery furnace, just like he did Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And because of Haran's heart wasn't with the Lord, when they put him in the furnace, he got burned up. But Abraham's heart was right, so the fire didn't burn him, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So anyway, Haran had a son called Lot. That's the reason Abraham took Lot with him, because the Lord of hosts told him, get thee from thy kindred and go by yourself. But Abraham took Lot. This was because of this right here. But my point is this. It says Haran died before his father Terah. Terah was second in charge to Nimrod. He was Nimrod's Lord of hosts. So what he's telling you is Terah was standing there. Got to get this. Terah was standing there. He saw Haran die. He was standing before him. So go to the temple, like I keep on saying. The Lord they keep saying they making sacrifices before the Lord. So the Lord, whoever the God of Israel is, he in the temple with them, dealing with him. So like I said, when he tells you that he chose the Levites to himself, he brought the Levites to himself. Well, where he take them to? The temple. Where he at? So that's what that means. Right here it says, Haran died before his father Terah. So that before means right there. It's physical. It's not some kind of supernatural thing. And not so many people are looking over there, but they dealing with the Lord. He right there. And even when he says, and Noah walked with the Lord. And the Lord came walking in the cool of the day. They actually dealing with him. So we already know, we know it ain't Jesus, but we know it ain't Yahweh, whoever this is. Okay, so I want to shine a light on that. Okay, I'll finish reading that little two more verses. It says that Abraham and Nahor took them wives and named the name of Abraham's wife was Sarah, right? And the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. And here go the drama right here. You can search it out on your own. Somebody might come up with something, but it says Genesis 11 verse 29. Noah and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abraham's wife was Sarah, right? And the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughters of Haran. So see that? So these two girls right here is Lot's sisters. They Lot's sisters. But this is the trick right here. I was looking at this. Keep reading. It says, in the name of Noah's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, and the father of Milcah, and the father of, see that word? ISCH. So when you dive into that, go in the rabbit hole, the people, these magistrates and whoever was dealing with the scripture in the beginning said that that word supposed to mean she who can see, which is a prophetess. It's a woman that can see. Is that what that word is supposed to be? But they saying that that's Sarah. That word, that lady right, this name right here, SCHSISCAAH, that's another name for Sarah. But to me, it don't make no sense. So I did a little research on it, but like I said, you can do some research on it. Like we did with Naaman. They just got one little verse right here, one little sentence. And it said Tubal Cain, and the sister of Tubal Cain was Naaman. And right here, the same thing. It's saying that, but there's a whole lot going on. Abraham and Nahor took themselves wives. The name of Abraham's wife was Sarah, right? And the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran. That's their father, the father of Milcah, and now it's another name injected in there. And they saying that that's another name for Sarah. But when you go look at the definition, that definition for this woman right here is she who can see, prophetess. Prime example of this right here. Let me just go here right quick. I don't want to digress. So if you go to Isaiah right quick. Isaiah chapter 7. No, Isaiah chapter 8. And then, like I said, if you go to Isaiah 14, this is what they hooked when JC it. They said, therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. This is another one of those examples I told you about. This word virgin, which this ain't what it is in Hebrew, but that's a title. That virgin got a name, just like Melchizedek. That's a title, but he got a name. And at the time when Abraham met him, it was Shem. So that Melchizedek is a title. Right here is a title. So you say, what are you talking about? So Isaiah got to go and complete this prophecy right here. Therefore, the Lord himself, the Lord gave the sign through him that the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive, bear a son, to call his name Emmanuel. So Isaiah's children are the sign. So Isaiah got to go and complete this prophecy right here. And you go to chapter 8, verse 1. Moreover, the Lord said unto me, take thee a roll, this completing the prophecy in Isaiah 7 and 14. Moreover, the Lord said unto me, take thee a great roll, write upon it a man's pen concerning this the boy right here. This the son. They tell you it's JC, but this the son right here. I can't say the name. Mashallah Box or bad, whatever. Then here we go, 20 verse 2. And I took unto me a faithful witness, right, to record Uriah the priest, Zechariah the son of Jibbai, right? And here we go, full circle. Verse 3. And I went to the prophetess. Take you back to that other word in chapter 11 of Genesis. See that? And I went to the prophetess, that's his wife. So that means there's a woman that can see, that she can prophesy. So it says, and I went into the prophetess, and she conceived and bore a son. Then said the Lord unto me, call his name. So like I said, if you want to go down that rabbit hole and check that out, you might find out something. I don't know. I didn't want to leave nobody in the dark on that. Okay. Everybody good? Any questions? Everybody good? Okay, so I'm back over here in Jubilees. I read up till verse 5, Jubilees chapter 10, verse 5. It says, and in the 30th Jubilee, in the second week, in the first year thereof, he took to himself a wife, and her name was Milcah, the daughter of Media, the son of Japhat. And in the fourth year, he begot a son and called his name Selah, for he said, truly I have been sent. And I have been sent. And in the fourth year, he was born. And Selah grew up, and he took to himself a wife, and her name was Muat, the daughter of Kizib. Okay, so his name, his father's brother. And in the 30th Jubilee, in the fifth week, in the first year thereof, and she bore him a son in the fifth year thereof, and he called his name Eber. And he took unto himself a wife, and her name was Asarad, daughter of Neobad, in the 32nd Jubilee, in the seventh week, in the third year thereof, and in the sixth year thereof, she bore him a son, and he called his name Peleg. And in those days, when he was born, the children of Noah began to divide the earth among themselves. For this reason, he called his name Peleg, and they divided it secretly among themselves, and told it to Noah. And it came to pass in the beginning of the third Jubilee that they divided the earth into three parts, for Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and according to the inheritance of each, in the first year, in the first week, when one of us who had been sent was with them, and he called his sons, and they drew nigh to him, they and their children, and he divided the earth into lots, which his three sons were to take in possession, and they reached forth their hands and took the writings out of the bosom of Noah's father, and there came forth on the writings Shem's lot in the middle of the earth, which he should take as an inheritance for himself, and for his sons, and for the generations of eternity, from the middle of the mountain range of Ra, from the mouth of the river, from the river Tina, and its portion goes toward the west through the midst of the river, and it extended till it reaches the waters of the abysses, out of which the river goeth forth and poureth in its waters into the sea of Miat, and these rivers floweth into the great sea, and all that is toward the north is Japheth, and all that is toward the south belongeth to Shem, and it extended till it reaches Kishal. This is in the bosom of the tongue which looketh toward the south. Okay, and its portion extended along the great sea, and it extended in a straight line till it reaches the west of the tongue which looketh toward the south. For this sea is named the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and it turneth from here toward the south, toward the mouth of the great sea, on the shores of the rivers, and it extended to the west to Afra, and it extended till it reaches the waters of the river Gihon, and to the south of the waters of Gihon, to the banks of the river, and it extends toward the east till it reaches the Garden of Eden, to the south thereof, and from the east to the whole land of Eden and of the whole east. It turned to the east and proceeded till it reaches to the east of the mountain named Rapha, and it descended to the banks of the mouth of the river Tina. This portion came forth by lot for Shem and his sons, and they should possess it forever until this generation and forevermore. And Noah rejoiced that this portion came forth for Shem and for his sons, and he remembered all that he had spoken with his mouth in prophecy, for he had said, "Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and may the Lord dwell in the dwellings of Shem." So I want to go back up because we had a conversation the other day about the Garden of Eden and the fig and all that, and the big figs so right here we see right here this after the flood, right? It's after the flood, and this in the book of Jubilees is describing the geographical location that Shem received, right? Chapter 5, verse 15, Jubilees 10 and 15. And it turneth from here toward the south, for the mouth of the great sea on the shore, and it extend to the west of Africa, and it extend till it reaches the waters of the river Gihon, and to the south of the waters of Gihon, and to the banks of the river, and it extends toward the east till it reaches the Garden of Eden. So it's after the flood. So they knew where the Garden of Eden was at, like I said. So when we know that they went into Egypt after this, and they stayed in Egypt 430 years, they came out, and he brought them back to this land right here. And that's when the spies went in there, found those huge grapes. So we know that the grapes were huge, the apples and everything else, corn, everything else was huge. My point is this after the flood. So they knew where the garden was at. Okay. Any comments on that? Okay. It says, and he knew that the Garden of Eden is the holy place, the holy of holies, and the dwelling of the Lord, right? The Lord of hosts dwells in Garden of Eden. And the Mount Sinai, the center of the desert, and Mount Zion, the center of the navel of the earth. These three were created as holy places facing each other. So that's right there, like I said, it wasn't hidden from them. They knew about Mount Sinai, and they knew about Mount Zion, and they knew about Garden of Eden. Because it's telling you right here. And he blessed the God of gods, who had put the words of the Lord into his mouth, and the Lord forevermore. And he knew that a blessed portion and a blessing that came to Shem and his sons unto the generations forever. And the whole land of Edom, Garden of Eden, and the whole land of the Red Sea, and the whole land of the east, and India, and on the Red Sea, and on the mountains thereof, and on all the land of Bashan, and all the land of Lebanon, and the isles of the Kafir, and all the mountains of Sinai, and Armena, and the mountains of Ashur in the north, and all the land of Edom, Asher, and Babel, and Sushan, and Media, and all the mountains of Ar, and all the region beyond the sea, which is beyond the mountains of Asher toward the north, a blessed and spacious land, and all that is in it is very good. So that was the portion that Shem got. You notice all the things that Babel included in that, Elam, right? Mount Sinai, all that's included in Shem's land. So notice what they did when they came back out of Egypt. They conquered all these lands. Okay. So anyway, let me get it. says, and it extended toward the west till it reaches to the sea of Mayut, that sea into which everything which is not destroyed descended, and it goeth forth toward the north to the limits of Gedri, and it goeth forth to the east of the waters, and the sea to the waters of the great sea, till it draweth near to the river Gihon, and goeth along the river Gihon till it reaches the right of the Garden of Eden. And this is the land which came forth to Ham, right? So Shem land, when you read this, Shem land is on one side of the Garden of Eden, and Ham land on the other side of the Garden of Eden, and it's in Africa. And this is the land which came forth for Ham as a portion, which was to occupy forever for himself and for his sons until their generations forever. And for Japhet came forth the third portion beyond the river Tina to the north of the outflow of its waters, and extended north easterly to the whole region of Gog, and to all the country east thereof, and it extended northerly to the north, and extended to the mountains of Quat toward the north, and toward the sea of Maat, and it goeth forth to the east of Gedar as for the region of the waters of the sea, and it extends until it reaches the west, and it returns toward, I can say these words, Africa, and it is extended easterly to the waters of the sea of Maat, and it extends to the regions of the river of Tina in a northerly direction until it approaches the boundaries of its waters toward the mountain Rapha, and it turns around toward the north. This is the land which came forth to Japhet and his sons as a portion of his inheritance, which he should possess for himself and for his sons, for their generation forever. 5 great islands, isles, right? Isles of the Gentiles. 5 great islands and a great land in the north, but it is cold, and the land of Ham is hot, and the land of Shem is neither hot nor cold, but it is a blended cold and heat. So that was Book of Jubilees chapter 10. It was breaking down how the land was divided and who got what during the time of Noah and Shem. Anybody have any comments or questions? Any comments, questions? Okay, everybody good? Y'all can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. So we'll close out right here. I mean, well, somebody got a scripture they want to get broken down. Or we get. Okay. So we just keep moving forward. I see everybody tomorrow. We got our women's advanced Bible study. Tomorrow 7 to 9. Men can come in through YouTube. So I'll see y'all tomorrow at 7 for our women's advanced Bible study. Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it, because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanak, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up, and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is, and the Godhead.